Hello, and thank you for stopping by the Massachusetts Beer Reviews channel of YouTube. I am Thomas Meadow 75, and this is your Massachusetts Beer Reviews. And as you can tell, I have the cap off of this beer, and I've already had a little bit of it. I don't know if you can read that. Bear Republic. Which Bear Republic beer are we enjoying this evening? Bear Republic's Racer X Double IPA. This one is at 8.3% alcohol by volume. Brewed and bottled by Bear Republic Brewing Company, Inc. in Cloverdale, California. They are located within the Sonoma County region of Northern California, inside of wine country. Now, they make a beer called Racer 5, which is a single IPA. This is their double version. They don't tell you even on their website, the Bear Republic's website, what they're using for ingredients in the beer. They're just telling you it's 8.3% and it's 100. Yes, 100 IBUs. On the bottle says Racer X is an uncommon double India Pale Ale, which puts a California twist on English brewing traditions by adding an assertive hop aroma and bitterness that complements the firm malt backbone. Like its little brother Racer 5, Racer X is balance in a bottle. Independent family brewers, they say since 1995. And just a little backstory here about my buddy at work that I come to find out is a beer guy, craft beer guy. Bought him a 4-pack of some Trillium IPA. So when he went to acquire some beers recently, he asked if I had ever had this. Bought 2 bottles, one for himself and one for me. So I call that a not quite as expensive, but I call it an even beer trade. I'm happy with it. I appreciate the gesture and appreciate that he appreciated me getting him a great beer for his birthday. Michael Komaroff joining us live from Brooklyn, New York, and the Louisiana Beer Reviews Wednesday nights occasionally. So here is said beer. It is definitely got your tan-colored head, very thick and rich-looking 2 fingers, a very dark copper burnt orangey look, somewhat see-through, but not really. It's very dark. I'm trying to tell if there's any haze. There could be lots of suspended particles in that. Tiny bits of popping and fizzing. As you could see earlier, it leaves all kinds of lacing and looks delicious. Looks like a West Coast version of an IPA. Smells like one for damn sure. Holy hell. That is great smelling. And what do I mean? What am I getting out of this great smelling beer? Tangerines, nectarines, grapefruit, pineapple, orangey notes, syrupy sweet notes. 8.3, but not slapping you in the face. It does smell warm. Lots of pine sap and pine resin. And not tropical fruit juice, but just tropical notes, pine notes, dank, sappy, resin notes. Definitely a very sweet, almost sugary, but not that sweet. It does smell like a big old IPA, a double IPA. Toffee malts, caramel malts. Definitely toffee for sure. Definitely brown bread. Not molasses, not like a toasty kind of a beer, but it smells like a big old IPA. It smells like a big old oily, thick IPA. So let's try it. Cheers, everybody. Racer X, Bear Republic. This has warmed up somewhat since I have opened the bottle. And it's not, I shouldn't say very, it's not overly sticky, but it's definitely got a sticky, resinous mouthfeel and quality to it. Oily is a great word. Syrupy, maybe. Lots of pine. Lots of leathery tobacco notes. A lot of grapefruit. pineapple, orangey notes, sweet, I'd say brown bready, but maybe it's more like a white malt, white wheat, or not wheat, a white bready malt. Pretty aggressive. I would say it's moderately high on the sweetness, but for me personally, when you're going and hopping a beer up to 100 IBUs practically, like this one is, you want to have either some kind of a sweet component or some kind of a malty component to balance everything out. Lots of tropical juice notes. Lots of resin, piney, sappy notes. Lots of oily notes. Lots of sticky toffee, caramel malt notes. This would warm you up in a cold winter night in Michael Komaroff's area of Brooklyn, New York, in my area of New England, southern Massachusetts. In Lance the Lush's area of Cleveland, Ohio. It does have that feeling of a hoppy a hopped up double IPA from England. It does have that feel to it. I would say that the body is very rich, very, very full, sticky, pretty sweet. Initially, and then there's where it dries. But even when it dries in the front of the palate, towards the back here, and I'm smacking my lips, it's very chewy beer, it still retains some of that sweet, tropical fruity note to it. Yeah, this even has the white bread, maybe not as predominant as you want it to be for how hoppy and somewhat sweet it is. Michael Komaroff is asking me, is this similar to 6 Point resin? And for me, it's really not all that similar. I think resin is more like in New England, more of a East Coast New England than it is like a true West Coast style. It's got more of those unfiltered tropical juice notes to it, the resin, as opposed to this, which is much more about the caramel, toffee, tobacco, oil, piney notes. So if all that's great to you and you like a traditional double IPA before New England IPAs ever came across the scene, and you want to really go back to the roots of your IPAs and your double IPAs, I still would say get Racer 5. I'll have to review it sometime, but Racer X is freaking phenomenal. My buddy's name is Sean from work. Thank you, Sean. This is freaking fantastic. I am enjoying it. This is going to get... Oh, the body style. I'll tell you it's on the light side of full for sure. High, medium. Is this refreshing? No. Is this crisp? Sure. In a way. Is it clean? Nah, no. But is this a good sipping beer for it being 8.3 and having such a complex and big mouthfeel? You bet your ass it is. I'm going to give this here Racer X beer definitely English in influence. I'm going to give this Racer X a high B+, maybe an 88 out of 100. I think if it was less sweet, they can keep the same ABV. I think they might need to add more malt to this one to really balance out the sweet notes and to balance out it being 100 IBUs. I say they need to balance out the 100 IBUs, but I don't feel like it's overly a messy beer where you get nothing but hops. You get a lot of sweetness, and you are getting those toffee, caramel malts, and some white bread in the background. So it is more balanced than one would think, or than my description is leading you on to believe. But I think if they added much more malts to the mash. This would be even a more balanced beer, and this could potentially be a little bit more dangerous. But tastes like they use a lot of fermentable sugars, and you could definitely taste, I don't know if you can taste 100 IBUs, but you definitely taste a sort of bitterness. It's definitely bitter. As you let the beer go into the back of the palate, towards the middle of the palate, to me, definitely is where the sharp bitterness is occurring. And is really like a sponge is retaining all of that flavor and is slowly waiting to wring out, and it's taking so long to do it. At this point in time, I can feel a slight coating and a warmth of the alcohol, but it's not hot. It might be slightly hot, but I wouldn't call it a hot tasting alcohol burn from 8.3. I think it's done well. And you have to like a little bit of a sugary component. So I'm going to give it a high 88 again. More malt, less sugars. Figure out a way to do it. And we're talking A beer. So if you guys have ever had Racer X, let me know what you thought. If you've ever had Racer 5, let me know what you think. What's your thoughts on double IPAs? What's your thoughts on IPAs? Are they still a fad? Can they stand the test of time? Let us know. Thank you, Michael Kormaroff, for joining live. I'm going to shut up now and finish a great bottle of beer. So thank you, Sean, for the beer. And until next time, keep tasting those great beers. Racer X, Bear Republic.